The position of governor as per the constitution is pretty clear. This individual is the head of state legislative assembly. It's a very respected position, but it's also very clear that the control and powers are nominal. This is not an elected position. The governor does not reflect the will of the people of that state like an elected government, but has been tasked with being a link between state and the Union of India. That is the central government. That link seems to be becoming weaker and weaker. In state after state, where there is an opposition party in power, there is invariably a fight with the governor. Just today, the chief ministers of Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Telangana are at loggerheads with their governors. The reasons may differ, but the underlying tussle is the same. These governments feel the governors are overreaching and going beyond their powers. The governors in question say they're only doing their job. So let's look at these fights one by one. In Kerala, the Pinarayi Vijayan government wants to bring in an ordinance that will remove the governor, Mohammad, as chancellor of all the universities in the state. This is after he asked all the vice chancellors of the 9 universities to quit. Remember, as chancellor, the governor has the task of appointing the vice chancellors. So he's asked all of them to quit. The underlying fight is presumably over control of these educational institutions by both sides, although both sides have different versions of who's in the wrong. In Tamil Nadu, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has written to President Murmu saying that Governor RN Ravi should be sacked. His grouse: the governor is not signing on bills passed by his government, including the NEET bill. In Telangana, Governor Tamilisai Soundarajan has today accused the KCR-led government of tapping her phones. It's a very serious accusation she's made. The TRS government, meanwhile, is upset that bills passed by them are not being signed by the governor. Now, to understand the fight, we also need to go into how governors come into their positions. The governor is appointed by the President of India and serves at the discretion of the President of India. The President, of course, is elected on the basis of the majority that the ruling party enjoys. In this case, the BJP and its allies had enough of the numbers so that President Murmu did become president. The practice so far has been that the governor is usually a political appointee. But in the recent past, the separation of roles between a constitutional authority and a political entity seems to have become blurred. Why are we seeing this? To speak on this, I'm joined this evening by Sebastian Paul. He's a former MP and spokesperson of the CPIM. Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate in the Supreme Court, is joining me on the show. I'm speaking with Advocate E. Krishnadas, spokesperson of the BJP in Kerala, and Mithun Vijay Kumar, political analyst, with me on the show. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for speaking with us on Beyond the Headlines. Sanjay Hegde, let me come to you first to put this into perspective. Of course, it's not new that the governor is a political appointee. It's not new that there have been clashes with the government of the day, especially if there's a different government in the state and a different in the center, as in different parties. But has it become worse over time?
Of course, it's become worse. You see, constitutionally, the position of a governor is that he or she is the head of state, but not the head of government. It's somewhat like the president. They only reign, they do not rule. A governor is supposed to be friend, philosopher, and guide to the government at the state level, but he or she can in no circumstances rule. Justice Krishna here put it very felicitously. He said, not the Potomac, but the Thames fertilizes the flow of the Yamuna. What he meant was that we don't go by the American model of presidents and governors. We go by the English system of a constitutional monarch, where the monarch reigns. Actual work is done by the elected government. These governors are not elected. They are selected by the center and they hold office at the pleasure of the President of India. Now, the President's pleasure is what? The government at the center. Now, just imagine the situation at the center, where if the President were to act, with the elected government the same way that the governors in these states have acted with their states. You would have constitutional chaos. Our system is therefore designed for the elected governments to actually rule
Right.
and for the unelected governors to reign. As long as we are clear on that, things work. If governors want to become governors general and represent the government at the center, they are more or less replicating what the governors in British India did. They reported to the viceroy and then on to the crown. And as a consequence, in that brief period between 1935 and 1942, when you had elected governments, they did not run very well. So with all that constitutional history, our constitution makers made it very clear.
Right.
Governors are there. They're largely decorative.
They're largely decorative.
Advice,
I'm going to take the debate forward from that point and come to Mithun Vijay Kumar. So they're supposed to be largely decorative. But does that mean that governors are just rubber stamps? Look at just all the recent conflicts, and we're showing more of them on the screen. They've been going on for the last few years, and they've gotten worse and worse. Is this a case of a governor and their actions becoming too political? Or are those state governments not tolerating the actions of the governor who may well be within his or her right?
See, the executive head of a state is not supposed to be a rubber stamp, and maybe in the past few years we would have seen that. But with the recent incidents in these states, we have understood very well what are the powers of a governor. And there have been instances where the governor has even disbanded the whole assembly, and we have seen that in the past. So the powers of a governor is not limited to just approving whatever the government suggests. And with the recent incidents, it is very clear. Now there is a clear-cut anti-BJP agenda that is being worked out in these southern states, especially Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Telangana, and they're targeting the governors and labeling them as RSS agents. If you see even the recent meetings between Sri Mallikarjun Kharge and Sri Yechuri, the issue of governors in non-BJP states was discussed, because according to them, the governors in non-BJP ruled states are agents of, they are actually working as agents of RSS, according to these people. Now, that's the reason why governors in these particular states are being targeted regularly. Now,
One minute. So, Mithun, are you saying that these governors have not done anything to cross the Lakshman Rekha?
They have not crossed the Lakshman Rekha.
Because they're not elected. Yes, they're not elected individuals.
My next point will make it, I'll clarify that. Now, let's take the issue of Kerala. What has happened in Kerala? The governor pointed out the issue with respect to appointment of vice chancellors, right? 5 of the vice chancellors were selected without panel names during the selection. The remaining 4 were selected by a committee without any eminent subject matter experts. So he just pointed out that issue. And from that point onwards, the governor has become an enemy of the state government. You can see ministers are going on record and making statements that is insulting. There are campaigns being run against him by the left media. So he is being targeted on a regular basis. People are making insulting statements. Media houses are running campaigns. So the pattern in which they are attacking the governor, and they are giving a message that no matter who you are, we can't be questioned by any authority. It's very dangerous for a country, right? In a state where the government is clearly flouting the rules. Let me take not just the appointment of VCs. Okay, there are many other appointments in Kerala that have been made illegally. You can see the issue of KK Ragesh, the private secretary of CM.
So you're saying 1 minute. 1 minute, Mr. Mithun, you're saying there is merit. There is merit to what Governor Arif Mohammad Khan is saying. I'm going to let Mr.
He's
Sebastian
only discharging his
to
duties as a chancellor.
It is is it his duty? Because he's become chancellor because of his position as governor, and he's become governor at the pleasure of the president, and he's a political nominee.
As a chancellor, he can definitely look into the matter of appointment of VCs. That's a provision he has.
Sure, he has to. So that is why they've now brought in an ordinance saying that let's remove him as chancellor, which is it's going to be a little ironical because
that's again debatable.
Because guess whose sign is required on that? Again, the governor.
See, the Court has,
so 1 minute.
Supreme Court has said,
I'm taking others' views. I'll come back to you, Mithun. I'll come back to you. I'm taking other people's views. I'm going to Mr. Paul on this and some of the points that Mr. Mithun has said. Because the Supreme Court also found in one of the cases, Mr. Paul, that the state government to, decide who's going to be a vice chancellor of a university has to provide a list from which the chancellor, aka the governor, chooses. But there's only one name in that list. So there's no choice. You're telling him कि इनको बनाई, this person has to be the vice chancellor. This was pointed out and reversed by the courts. So isn't Governor Khan well within his rights to say, let's rectify these wrongs in other universities as well? He's discharging his duty as chancellor. Why should he behave as a rubber stamp?
The governor is not a mere rubber stamp. He has got discretionary powers as provided in the Constitution. Now, the position of Chancellor, it is an ex officio position, conferred on him by a law made by the state legislature. The state legislature is at liberty or in legislative competence to withdraw that position and appoint someone else as Chancellor. It is a different matter. The ordinance has to come or a bill has to be introduced in the forthcoming session of the Assembly and should be passed. Then, of course, we all apprehend that the governor may not sign those papers. It is a different matter. As far as these universities are concerned, the invalidated appointment was made by none other than a person than Arif Mohammad Khan, who in his capacity as Chancellor signed the appointment order. Now the Supreme Court invalidated that appointment, not on the basis of any disqualification of the candidate, but the process was not followed. It was a procedural error, deficiency. On that basis,
right.
it was declared invalid ab initio void. It is
no, Mr. Paul, my question is very simple. I do not want to get into these, technical and legal details of the case. The charge against your government today in Kerala is that you're targeting the governor. You're targeting the governor because he doesn't want to blindly close his eyes and toe the line and sign everything you give him. That's why this ordinance. Now it remains to be seen whether he will sign this ordinance or not.
No, the constitutional position is that he is bound by the advice given by the Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister, and he is bound to sign the papers, whether it is ordinance or a bill passed by the legislature. But he is not doing that duty. The bills are pending there in the Raj Bhavan, waiting for his signature. Now he is at war with the state government. And he is using obscene words against the Chief Minister and the ministers who are his advisors. And in that situation, in fact, the situation is not peculiar to Kerala alone. All the three non-BJP chief ministers in the south are facing the very same problem. So it is a pattern there. It is a pattern and well-designed pattern. It is functioning against non-BJP governments in the states.
All right. Krishna Das, why this same story again and again, sir? And of course, today we're talking about governor versus chief minister in 3 states of South India. But we've played out that list over the last few years. This has gone on in many, many states where there is a government which is from the opposition, a non-BJP government. That government and the governor are invariably at loggerheads. Is there a pattern
here? Absolutely not. I don't see any pattern here at all, because out of the 28, 29 states, we are talking only about 3 or 4 states. And what I feel, what Bharatiya Janata Party feels is that the governor of Kerala, Sri Arif Mohammad Khan, he is fighting against corruption, he is fighting against nepotism, he is fighting against favoritism, and this was upheld by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the Kerala Technical University case. In that case, the Supreme Court held that the appointment of the Vice Chancellor is void ab initio. The governor had no choice but to ask all other 8 Vice Chancellors to resign. I do not know why senior advocate Mr. Sanjay Hegde is saying that this is a decorative post. Absolutely not. This is neither a decorative post. This is neither is a what you call a rubber stamp. The rules, the duties of the governor are very specifically given in the constitution and under Article 213. Whatever ordinances given by the government need not be signed by the governor blindly. Only if circumstances exist which render it necessary for him to take immediate action, he needs sign the ordinance. So there is absolutely the government
Mr.
of
Das,
Kerala.
I'll get I'm sure Mr. Hegde wants to respond to you because you talked about a specific point he made, and we'll get him to respond to you. But I just have one question. You said Governor Arif Khan is fighting against nepotism. He's fighting against corruption. Is that his job and duty as governor? To fight against nepotism and corruption?
Why should the governor sit quiet seeing the corruption? What did the governor say? The gold smuggling case went up to the the doors of the office of the chief minister. Should a governor keep quiet?
Okay.
Should a governor appoint? Should a government appoint? Should the governor sign on the paper where a relative, a close relative who has absolutely no qualification, should he be appointed as vice chancellor just because he is the wife of somebody working?
Quiet? 1 minute. Constitutionally, legally, because this has of course come up in the courts before, and it's a key question, Mr. Hegde. Should the governor keep quiet in the face of blatant wrongdoing, as the governor of Kerala is claiming?
Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan is most welcome to fight against corruption anywhere. But that will be after he quits his job as governor. As long as he is governor, there is a constitutional mandate where he does not interfere with the administration, because that is the way that a parliamentary democracy functions. The head of the state, whether it is the Queen, it be the Queen of England, the President of India, or the governor of a state, they only reign. Acts, official acts are done in their name. They do not rule. You would have to overturn the constitution if you are to say that the governor can rule. There are only very few exceptions.
Mr. Hegde, can I interrupt?
Please do not interrupt me. I never interrupt.
Mr. Das, 1 minute. Let him finish and then I'll come to you. Let him finish and then I'll come to you, because it's important for viewers who are taking out the time to see this show to understand what the points and counterpoints are. So let him finish his point and then you will get ample opportunity to respond.
There are very
yes,
few
Mr. Hegde.
Reserved areas as far as the governor is concerned, where the governor has discretion. Those reserved areas have also been set out by a 7-judge judgment of the Supreme Court in Sanjay Singh's case. They include the choice of a chief minister where after a new assembly is sworn in, or to make a report to the central government if for any reason the government is not being carried out in accordance with the constitution. The Supreme Court has also made it clear. It is not any minor law and order issue or any minor infraction which becomes a breakdown of constitutional machinery. So the governor's role is extremely circumscribed. As long as the person is governor, he has to sit and be advised by the ministers and the cabinet at all points of time. So that's precisely why I said that the governor's role is largely decorative.
Okay, 1 minute. Mr. Das wants to respond.
I am sure that Mr. Sanjay Hegde knows the difference between the functions of the governor and the functions of a chancellor. The governor sitting here, Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan, he has acted as the chancellor of the universities. It is not that Mr. Sanjay Hegde does not know this difference. Mr. Sanjay Hegde, he being politically biased, has made this statement purposefully as if Sri Arif Mohammad Khan has acted on behalf of the post as the governor. The governor has not taken any action. It is the chancellor of the university.
But how did he become the chancellor? Mr. Das, how did he become the chancellor?
The powers of the chancellor and the governor are very different.
No. My question was not that, sir. My question was not that.
Let me finish.
But
Let
you're
me
not
finish.
answering my question. My question is not about the powers of the Chancellor taken. I'm asking, how did Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan, the Honorable Governor of Kerala, become the Chancellor?
That is not,
Wasn't
that
it,
is irrelevant here.
no, wasn't,
It is
how is it irrelevant?
Let me finish.
Wasn't it because of his position as governor that he is default the Chancellor?
Let me finish. The action taken by the government with the governor with regard to the appointment of vice chancellors and asking them to resign because they were not qualified is the duty as being the chancellor of those universities. He is bound by the act. And Mr. Hegde says that whatever corruption the government does, the governor has to just sit quiet, just watch in the gallery what is happening in the state. The governor is not a Nero. While Rome burns, he cannot play the fiddle. Here we see a proactive governor. The governor has his rights and the governor is acting in the right spirit.
All right. Mr. Hegde, your response. He's acting as Chancellor. It's his job as Chancellor.
As
if there is something wrong.
If he is never acting in only one capacity as Chancellor. If as Chancellor, then it is by virtue of the state enactments, the Universities Act. There is nothing in which says that it has only to be the governor. And that's precisely what the government of the day says, that we will amend those acts to say that the governor is no more the Chancellor. The governor then, as governor, cannot sit in judgment over that ordinance. The problem with wearing more than one hat is that you end up in talking in two tongues. And that is precisely why, irrespective of what happens, the constitutional head of the state can only advise, and that too privately.
Okay.
They cannot be involved in the politics of the day.
Okay, one important clarification that needs to come in here, and I'm going to come to Mithun Vijay Kumar on this point. When there were presidential elections going on, and I remember Mr. Yashwant Sinha had thrown his hat in the ring as the opposition candidate. I'd had the opportunity to speak with him and I asked him this question. It's a constitutional position. You only have to advise the government. Why are we running for this? And he had, at that time, said that I do have powers laid out in the constitution. Is that what these governors are banking on today, Mr. Mithun Vijay Kumar? And can they choose to hold up bills of an elected government in the state, which is the complaint against all three governors in all three states we're talking about today? In Telangana, in Kerala, and in Tamil Nadu, one common complaint is that the governors are not signing bills that we've passed.
To the governors by the constitution, and the government has a responsibility of clarifying the bills and justifying why they want to pass the bill. And Governor Arif Mohammad Khan, if you are taking the case of Kerala, Governor Arif Mohammad Khan has clarified that many of the bills were not justified. They were not justified in front of him. Why would he just, sign the bill for no reason? So he has the provision of holding it. And if you look at Tamil Nadu, they were raising issues from time to time. But ever since the governor criticized the issue of, the Coimbatore blast issue, they have taken it to a whole new level. Now they are blowing it out of proportion and they're targeting the governor from time to time. So like I said earlier, it's an agenda that is being worked out against, governors in this.
Mr. Mithun, you're not able to explain to me one thing. That is an elected government wants to bring in certain rules. For example, the state of Tamil Nadu does not want NEET. They want to pass a rule saying we don't want NEET in this state. They have been elected by the mandate of the people. Can that be blocked by a governor who might not agree with their point of view? Does he or she have that power as per the constitution? It seems not. They have to work on the advice of the chief minister.
A governor is not supposed to block the functioning of the smooth functioning of a government, but he can have concerns always. He can raise concerns, and if I have clarified in my previous comment with respect to what has happened in Kerala, right? The appointment of VCs, which was illegal, that was something the governor questioned. The governor is not someone. See, the governor in Kerala is not someone who has always criticized the government. He is the one who sanctioned the anti-citizenship amendment, the bill, that the resolution that was passed by the Kerala State Assembly. He's the one who even passed the bill against the Lokayukta, which was passed by the Kerala Assembly, which actually made Lokayukta a powerless entity. So he's not someone who's interfering in all the matters. He's only raising the concerns. But when it comes to appointment of VCs, which is happening in a very illegal format, he does have his reservations. He can hold it back, and he has only raised the concerns. And now, not just about the VC appointment. You see in Kerala what is happening. The Kerala government, like someone pointed out here, Kerala government is involved in all kinds of scams. And at this point, we must be actually discussing why Kerala government is gripped in all these scams and all. Because every issue, it leads to the CM's office, dollar scam, PP kit scam, gold smuggling.
No, but
and
that
all
is,
this
that is no. We must not discuss that today. No, I'll tell you why we're not discussing that today. You've raised a valid question. We're not discussing that today because that's not our topic of discussion.
Understood, but that is not being discussed at all anywhere.
1 minute.
These are the serious concerns.
It's the ongoing fight between governor and government in state after state after state. It's not just Kerala, Telangana, and Tamil Nadu. Is it just
the
a
actual problem
coincidence?
is we are not discussing the serious matters, but we are discussing issues which are not even relevant. Actually, the Kerala governor has raised a serious concern.
When we have to discuss an issue, but as of today, unfortunately, this is what we're discussing. 1 minute. Today, this is the remit of the discussion.
Let me come to the appointments itself. Let me come to the appointments itself. Now, apart from VCs, if you look at the appointments in universities, there have been various appointments made that were illegal. Now, I wanted to point it out earlier, but now since you're giving me the time, KK Ragesh, he was the private secretary of CM, his wife's appointment, that was controversial. MB Rajesh's wife's appointment, PK Biju's wife's appointment, PK Shashi's son's appointment, PK Srimati's son's appointment, AN Shamsir's wife's appointment, which was actually halted by the court itself.
That is what the BJP and the opposition, the BJP... No, 1 minute.
Actually happening in Kerala.
Okay, maybe it is. 1 minute. I'll tell you what...
It's a serious matter of concern.
No, I'll tell you why you trying to enlarge the scope of the debate to specific allegations against the CPIM government in Kerala is problematic. They may be true to them, they may not be. 1 minute. Can you hear me out? It is because they may be true, they may not be true. We don't know. Allegations are being made. If they go through the legal process, they will then go to a police station, it will go to the courts, and at the end of the day, the people will decide when the next elections come around. Is it the governor's job to get into this fight? Is the question we're asking today. So we should be very clear about what we're debating. Sebastian Paul,
Kerala, it is
Sebastian Paul, 1 minute. Sebastian Paul, all of the allegations that the BJP is making and the Congress is also making in Kerala on corruption. Why should the governor turn a blind eye? And especially in the cases of universities, if he's acting in his position as chancellor, and there is a court order which talks about wrongful appointments of VCs, isn't it his job to act on that? Question for Sebastian Paul. Yes.
The first point is that the Supreme Court in that judgment, the KTU judgment, has never questioned or invalidated any of the appointments made by the chancellor in other universities. Then now the governor, on the basis of that judgment, finds that his own decision, his own appointment orders were wrong. If it is wrong, there is no power conferred by any law, the university statute or the constitution, enabling the chancellor to take action and dismiss or demand resignation of the vice chancellors. There is a constitutional court here, the court with power to issue a writ of quo warranto. Somebody can go to the court, and court will examine the issue in the light of the judgment and the observations of the Supreme Court in the other case. And the court can invalidate the appointments, not the chancellor. There is no provision. My question only is that our governor, Arif Mohammad Khan, is crossing all legal limits, constitutional limits, and he is invoking power which does not belong to him.
Mr. Paul, will your government take this to court instead of bad-mouthing the governor? Because frankly, all limits are being crossed on both sides. Today, you have ruling governments which have no respect for the position of governor. It is becoming a slanging match in public.
It is the fault of Mr. Arif Mohammad Khan. He is the governor.
No, I'm saying if there is an issue, will you take it to court?
Yes, we are going. We may be forced to go to the court if the governor refuses to sign ordinances, refuses to sign bills passed by the legislature. What option we can have apart from
All right.
bounding public opinion, all those things? We may have to approach the court also.
Eventually, this may end up in court, but it is harming the fabric of democracy, and the role of the governor needs to be made very, very clear once again. The governor may be a political appointee, but can the governor behave as a political appointee is really the big question. We'll leave this here. I want to thank all of you for joining us.